I did. And a lot of people said, "Oh, why didn't you take your wife's name if you wanted to get away from the name of Files or something?" And I said, "Why? My wife's first name is Pamela Ray. Then I'd be known as James Earl Ray. Would that be any better than James Earl Files or James Earl Sutton?" And people used to laugh about it. And so I just kept the name Files, and I did federal time under the name Files in the short stretch, which was in Oxford, Wisconsin at the FCI. And then this last case I had was the one where I went to Stateville for the shootout with the cops. And anyway, while I was there, Pamela contacted the officer that got shot, and he told her he was very upset with the government because he felt to say who he was up against because they didn't give him the details of me or my career. And that's Pamela's got that on tape also. So she called him. She told him that we was doing a book, and she had my story. And she wanted to know if he wanted his side of the story told, and he said yes, definitely. And he claimed over 50 rounds was fired. The government never told him who he was up against, and he said he was upset over that. And a couple of sentences later, Pamela said, "Well, Jimmy said you had a $50,000 contract on him," and he didn't say yes or no. He just laughed a little bit, and then he said, "This is when he started in about the government." And
were you still working for the CIA at that point
yeah,
when that happened?
I was still employed by the agency at that time. Yes,
In
and Eugene Habenfuss had been shot down while I was doing federal time. They had a couple of agents come visit me at the Oxford FCI, and they asked me my own opinion where Oswald was shot down at. The plane with Fat Lady was shot down at in Central America because it was 1 mile theater of operations. So I told them what they should do and how to get him to take him out because I told them that Eugene would talk. And they didn't do it, and he wanted to spill the beans on everybody. And he was from Marriott, Wisconsin.
What scandal was that all about?
That was about the Fat Lady. That's when we were supplying the Contras and fighting with them and all of that.
Iran-Contra.
So anyway, from that, and then the operations in Vietnam and operations in basically around the world and in Eastern Europe, where I got blown off the cliff by a Hi-24 helicopter, which is Russian. It was firing rockets at me, and I was dealing with it with a carbine rifle and a 9mm, and helicopter won. I got blown off the cliff, and I got severely wounded and hurt, and I spent a lot of time, and they sent Bruce Bradchick halfway around the world after I got out of the hospital in Germany. They sent me to Sweden, or Switzerland it was, and Bradchick flew him over there because he worked on the computers, and he helped locate me a lot of times when I would be lost, and they had lost track of me. And he helped me get back on my feet, and it took me about 6 months where I could walk again. And like this time, I've been laid up for the last year and a half, going on 2 years now, where I'm bedridden and I'm restricted to a wheelchair. And I have to have help getting from the bed to the wheelchair and from the wheelchair back into bed. And so I'm 83 now. I'm going to be 84 in January if I make it to January. And all I can say is after I had the stroke, a lot of the things in my mind, a lot of the names and answers, I can't think of them right away, but most of it is in the book Primary Target. And my wife wrote the book, and if it hadn't been for her, that book would have never been published because she wanted it out there. She felt the people should know certain aspects of the truth. And she kept after me, and finally we did that one. And that was the only book we did together that while I was out of prison. Excuse me. The other 2 books that she did, I was in prison. And she wrote 3 books altogether: To Kill a Country, Interview with History, and the third one was Primary Target. So all 3 books are I guess each one is 500 pages or better. And they carry a lot of the stories in there and a lot of the things there. And I put a lot of pictures of my artwork in a couple of the books. And she's got them made them now. She made pictures of the artwork and she's got that on display or whatever, and she put some on the website because we're selling some of the artwork that I did. And at Stateville, when we go in lockdown, was when I did most of my oil paintings. And she has the original of the one I did of JFK and Marilyn and Monroe and Death. I sent that one to Bruce Bratchek, which you've probably seen him in some of the interviews with me. And him and I have been friends since 1969. I'm 9 years older than Bruce. And I was come back from the Central Hemisphere, and I was looking for a place to work out. And so David Phillips recommended a place up on the north side of Chicago, and I went there and I found this young kid working there. And I didn't know he worked there. I thought he was just training. I asked him when he got through training, I said, how often do you train here? But I'd like to train with you. And he said, I work here part-time. And I said, that's better yet. And so we started training together. And he still laughs about, talks about it. My kicks were pretty hard. And he took it, and, like he said, I used to kick the devil out of him, 2-3 times a week when I was home. I'd train there. And he wound up owning, I think it was nine martial arts studios altogether on the south side and north side. And we've been friends since 1969. And he's got over 900 visits to Stateville to see me. It's all booked and logged and registered with the Stateville. Because you have to sign up every time you come in, so they've got all that on record.
Very good. So, thanks for sharing all that. So, yeah. Jim Manning, you've done a lot of time with James and Pamela. What stands out in your mind, and what can you ask James?
Hi, Jimmy. How are you?
My wife, Pamela.
Huh?
Oh, Jim Manning.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty good. How are you today?
Yeah, fine, Jim.
How are you today? Are you okay?
I'm doing good. Yeah, doing good. The thing that stands out most about Jim to me is that the thing that people don't really understand that much is the way he was born and the way that he had to go through.
I'm not hearing you.
The voice is cutting out.
Voice cutting out. Anyway, what?
It's spinning, but.
Anyway, I think that possibly from the response that I've gotten from the YouTubes that we've done together, they're overwhelmingly in favor of not only that he was the shooter, but that he was led, his life led him that way from birth with that naval birthing program, Camp Hero. There's a lot of stuff there that people ask me about. Of course, I don't know much about it, but it got to the point where Jim did what he was told. He did what he was told in the Army. He did what he was told when he worked for the CIA, and that's the kind of guy he is. He's a plain guy, very bright, extremely bright, but he didn't make a connection that a lot of people would make in killing, and so that really stands out to me. That his birth and growth had a lot to do with who he is, and the CIA has to kill people. There are people that they have to kill, and that was made clear to President Truman in 1947, and so Jim's not the only one, but he may be the only one that went through the naval birthing program, and I was going to ask Jim if he knew if anybody else in the birthing program was in the CIA today.
Every now and then.
Go ahead.
Did he hear me?
And so we lost you before, and I only heard a few words that you said every so often.
Yeah,
I heard a couple words.
Yeah, well, I was going to ask about if
Sam,
any
I
other
can see you
people.
now, but I still hear you.
I don't know. I'm not real good at this TV stuff.
Let me try it.
But
Now, can you hear me?
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
hear you.
Yeah, I hear you, but I don't hear Jim.
Jim Manning. There's two Jims.
Okay.
Ask you if you knew anybody in the birthing program that left Camp Hero with you and then was with the CIA. Somebody else.
I don't know anybody. 34, because the operations that we went on and that we did was dangerous. Some of them were still off by the time they were 34 years of age. If you lived to 34, you was considered an old man. And with the Chicago outfit, see, Chicago was never a family. Chicago is known as the outfit. And the ledger that I burned that belonged to Nicoletti and me, Nicoletti gave me before they killed him, showed us where we were tied up with over 60 mob hits. And that's why the FBI wanted it so bad. And basically, the one book, babe, could you hand me that book back there?
Our book?
Yeah,
Oh,
not the spiral notebook. This book here, I don't know if you can see it, but on the bottom, on page 50, it talks about when the FBI kidnapped me and tortured me, and they admitted they failed to bring me to speak of any crime that I had been involved in. And so, basically, the FBI, they've known about me forever. They chased me for many years. And Zach Shellen is the one that finally arrested me on the hijacking ring. And there's a episode, it's a 2-hour episode on the Daniel Seifert killing, which I did not participate in, but it tells about the Chicago mob and how we handled things and did things. And like I told Pamela, we ruled from the west coast of from the west border of Pennsylvania all the way to the Pacific Ocean and from Canada to the Gulf. Everything they ruled. We took no orders from New York. New York absolutely had no power over the outfit in Chicago. There was 5 families in New York, but they was always squabbling with each other. And I think, and it's not just me saying it, it's other people saying it, Chicago was probably more bloody than all 5 families in New York. And 69 and 70, Chicago, I mean, we went off the marks with the executions and everything else. And Daniel Seifert had turned informant, and he was going to testify against the mob on the International Plastics Fiberglass Company in Bensenville, Illinois. And they killed him with his wife and son there. And it was a botched hit, and they sent 2 young wannabes. And on YouTube, on Deadly Secrets about the Chicago mob, they claimed that Joey Lombardo and Tony Spilaccio did the hit, which was incorrect, because somebody with an indictment on them, a federal indictment, would never go on a hit like that, would be tied right to the outfit itself. The outfit used a couple of no-name youngsters that if they got caught, they could deny any connection to them with the outfit. They would never send unknown hitman to them. And that's why they failed to send Chuck and me. And I was upset because they didn't send Chuck and me. And I wound up, it was a debauched hit, but they killed him. They did what they're supposed to, but it was a very sloppy job. And if you ever get a chance, watch Chicago's Deadly Associates on YouTube. It's a 2-hour 2-hour feature, and it's well worth watching. And it's very interesting. But they've got a lot of the facts wrong in there.
Jim, if
Yeah.
you can hear
They
me,
got-
tell the story about Jimmy Hoffa.
Jimmy Hoffa, he was at the restaurant. This driver went in to get coffee for him, and somebody walked up alongside the car. Jimmy rolled the back window down because he was sitting in the back seat, and he was shot and executed. And a blanket was thrown over him in the back seat, and he was drove out of there in that car. Went to a sanitation plant, and I believe it was in Broadview, Michigan. And they took his watch off and they took his wallet out and they returned it to his stepson. And Jimmy Hoffa's body went into the furnace. The ashes went all over Detroit. That's why when I was at Stateville, I used to bet the people there, I'd give them 100-1 odds they wouldn't find nobody. They dug up horse sperms and they dug up everything else, and they never found nobody of Jimmy Hoffa. Because Jimmy Hoffa wasn't buried. Jimmy Hoffa was incinerated. And it was just like at Tony Accardo's home. When they pulled the jewel heist over on Michigan Avenue, the guy they robbed was a friend of Tony Accardo's. Tony Accardo grew up in the 42 gang. He was also a gunman for Al Capone. So Tony Accardo in his own right was a stone cold killer, assassination or whatever, hitman, what you want to call him. And me and Tony Accardo got along real well with Sam Giancana. And they talk about Sam DeStefano, the torture chamber where they put the guy's head in the vice in the movie Casino and squeezed the eyeballs out. Sam DeStefano, he had this house there in Broadview. And he had the torture chamber in his basement. The basement was soundproof. And I wouldn't go to Sam's house there, just Sam DeStefano. And don't mix him up with Sam Giancana. Sam Giancana was a nice guy compared to Sam DeStefano. And Sam DeStefano, he was actually a little bit crazy, just a whole lot. And he had that reputation of going to court in his pajamas and shopping in his pajamas and everything else. And I had actually seen.
If you can
Looks
hear
like
me,
we
Jim,
lost
you
him.
cut out. I guess the CIA was tired of hearing his story. The NSA or somebody cut him off. Maybe the FBI.
So while we're there, there's this one picture that you shared with me, Jim. Let me share that real quick. Looks like they're trying to come back in. So I'm gonna share this one picture and just give us because there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. So this is Maryland at Area 51, Site 4. What is this?
That supposedly is a depiction. You know, Marilyn was having a sexual relationship with Robert N. John, and there was a rumor that she was pregnant by John. And you know, Jimmy drove the 4 guys that killed Marilyn to the airport, and they gave her a barbiturate enema and killed her. We can see you now, Jim. Again, we had to go off and
Actually, it was only three guys that drove to the airport.
Oh, 3. Okay. Who were they? It was Chuck and Louis the Lips, and was it Butch Brassey? Who were the 3? Oh, we can't hear him. If you can hear me, Jim, we can't hear you for some reason.
It muted
So
on your end.
Oh, he's dropping off again. So there's 3 guys he drove to the airport. Anyway, they went out there. How about now? Can you hear us now, Jim? You pop back in.
Yeah, you're coming in loud and clear now.
Okay. Who are the 3 guys? Chuck and who else?
One of the parties is still alive, and he lives in Western here in one of the western states, and he's in good health and everything. And I wouldn't want to put him in prison by naming him for being involved in the murder of Marilyn Monroe.
And what about the guy that flew?
The pilot is still alive. The pilot is, I did not drive the pilot there. The pilot was there in the plane. The pilot
you don't
is
want to
still alive too. At least he was a few weeks ago.
That's one of the things for everybody's knowledge. That's one of the things Jimmy didn't want to like implicate people that are still alive. So a lot of people are deceased now, so we can talk a lot more about this stuff. So he's not gonna
That's
talk
right.
about
Pamela and I haven't,
people
we
who are still
haven't
alive.
published the book. We didn't publish the book Murdering Marilyn because I used the man's real name in the book, the one I thought was deceased already, and then I come to find out he was still alive, and I talked to him on the phone, and so I'm changing his name and giving him an alias. And like on the front cover of the book, it says some names have been changed to protect the guilty, not the innocent, but to protect the guilty, because I thought everybody by now was dead, but evidently they're not.
But to answer your question real quick, Michael, this picture is an artist rendition. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So basically, this is an artist rendition of the sport model that Bob Lazar outed. It's
Bob Lazar.
a craft that about 52 feet, in diameter, and it's got a cyclotron in it. It's radioactive. If any of your audience ever come upon one of these UFOs, don't get near it because the radioactivity can kill you. But anyway, the rumor was
It'll burn your
that
skin
John
red.
F. Kennedy, John F. Kennedy and Robert were read into the Majestic 12 program, and they talked to Marilyn about it in bed, I guess trying to impress her. And she started talking about it to an art dealer in New York on the phone, James Jesus Angleton, and via the agency, the counterintelligence, they had Marilyn's phone bugged, and they had bugs in the apartment, so they had dirt on John and Robert, right? Supposedly that team was let in, and you can correct me if I'm wrong there, Jimmy, but when the team got there, I'm not sure one way or the other whether she was already unconscious from being drugged or something, but supposedly Robert Kennedy Sr. is the one that let him in Marilyn's house there in Brentwood. And they gave her some kind of a
That is correct.
barbiturate enema, and it killed her. But the bottom line was Marilyn was talking about this information, and there was a letter. It's called the Byrne Memo, and I think Jim Manning probably knows about it. But it's a document that was found, and it basically says, if JFK persisted, because he was going to, and if you've seen the real trademark speech that he was going to give in Dallas, he was going to explain that the Roswell incident was true, and that we had not only the craft, but the deceased beings, and one of them, he wasn't going to say to the speech, but one of them had lived. They called him J-Rod, and they had to build a bubble for him to live in because of the atmosphere from his planet was different or something. But anyway, bottom line is, Mel was talking about the stuff in there. It's considered to be the greatest secret of our government, suppose that and the location of the gold. I understand it's not in Fort Knox anymore. But anyway, that's why they killed him, supposedly. And Jim probably's got some comments about that.
Oh, please.
Well,
If anybody has any questions.
Yeah,
for a long time. Oh, okay, Jim. Okay, go ahead. Street Gems. Street Gems.
Yeah, I meant both of you. Yeah,
Say,
go ahead.
say Manning, Files, or Scott. Don't use the name Jim.
There we go. There. Thank you,
Okay.
Pamela.
When it's my turn, just say Manning.
Trying to help everybody.
Go ahead, Manning.
Manning.
Oh,
Scott,
okay.
Files.
Most people know very little about extraterrestrials and things like that in this country. I had dinner a couple of months ago. I happened to mention, looked at me, she said, were you dreaming? It just occurred that people don't know anything now. Whenever Roswell happened, it was cut up. The next day they lied about it being a balloon, and whatever. But there were so many things that happened there that even before that, Truman had set up the Majestic 12, which were 12 men who knew about it. They were scientists, some military types, and one of them, one of the 12, thought that they needed to start disclosing things about extraterrestrials to the American people. And he was really pushing for that. And we have a carrier named after him, Forrestal. I think he might have been the first Secretary of Defense. And Mr. Forrestal went to Bethesda Hospital, and he jumped out of a 14-story window. I think it was 14-story. However, it was proven later that he wouldn't have been strong enough to even run into it or hit a piece of furniture.